Hello, I'm about to show you the Emolument corporate platform and its basic functionality. I will leave aside the more sophisticated tools for another time. So by just going into all reports, we're going to look at the list of job titles. So there are various pivots. You can see we have data by job, university, and employer. And in terms of job descriptions, we have them in two main verticals, the cross-sector activities and sector-specific activities. So that would be your fund manager, your airline pilot, mainly client-facing activities, but also support functions. So financial services, for instance, as you can see, there's a section for buy-side, investment banking. We also have retail banking. So I'm just going into origination, advisory, all the way down to M&A and leverage finance. We always show you the number of underlying entries, so 2,716 entries for this particular report for M&A and leverage finance across all locations and all titles. So before we do anything else, we're going to pick a location. Scrolling down to the list of locations for which we have data for this job, we're selecting UK, and we're now down to 1,300 entries. We now need to pick a job title for the data to be relevant. These are all the job titles that are available currently in this particular report for the UK. Let's go and pick director. We're now down to 424 entries for all these criteria, as you can see at the top. The key stats now start to make sense because we're comparing apples and apples. Median salary of 160 sterling and median bonus of 146. I'm now going to show you every single subsection to this report now that we've honed in on a relevant data set. So fairly self-explanatory, salary and bonus split into cash and stock, with bottom, medium, median and top quartiles, and distribution curves. Underlying specializations, so these would be financial sponsor, recaps, so all the underlying jobs to M&A and LevFin. We're always displaying the number of underlying entries with each subset of data. Company types is the difference between your startup or large listed group. It is more or less relevant depending on what you're running as an analysis. Now, individual companies. These are all the individual companies listed in the particular set of criteria that you've selected. So as you can see, we've got 15 directors at JP Morgan in M&A and LevFin in the UK. We will, of course, only show us employers with a certain number of data points in order to preserve user anonymity. These are the years in title, so this is your brand new director, and then carrying on through to more senior directors. It's not necessarily the years in title in this particular case that make an impact on pay, and you don't necessarily want to be a director for too long before your pay starts to drop. Change over time. So these are trends. Out of all the data points we have in this report, some have been captured as far back as 2011 and some as recently as yesterday, probably, as we have thousands of new data points every day and week. You can use this graph for trends and then proceed to exclude the older data points should you wish to. The gender piece, very relevant at the moment. We have the demographics here on the left and the actual numbers here on the right. And then everything that I have shown you in all of the tables above, such as the orange filters that you can see in each of the tables, are actually filters. So should you click on mail, you would only see those 382 data points. Now, with the filters here at the bottom, you can make multiple choices, which are particularly helpful when you're looking at a pool of various employers. You only really want to benchmark yourself against your relevant competitors. So you would just click and select the institutions which make the most sense to you for this particular profile, and then show results. So we're now down to 156 salaries for these particular criteria. So it's M&A and Left-Fin director in the UK for those particular employers. We can go back to the filters and keep filtering, so only selecting, for instance, the most recent data. Let's select 2015 and 16 together to make sure we've got enough data, and we're now down to 27 salaries. So between 15 to 20, so from 15 to 20 salaries, we can imply that statistically the sample is stable. And really the point is to use these filters to drill down from thousands of data points to a handful of data points which represent people doing that the exact same job at the same level in the same type of institutions in the same location. So really the point of this platform is that the filters are used as much as possible to get into as tight a sample and as relevant a sample as possible.